what you eat. Yeah.
What time you got? I may try to.
14 till, so anytime, yeah. Anytime. I know. It's hot. They're wearing a sweater. It's hot. That's right.
What's that? I know. Well, good. Yeah. Well, I miscounted. I thought there were two. I guess I must have miscounted them all. Yeah. I left off somebody. I don't know who it was. So. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check. All right. Can you guys hear me in the back? RJ, how do we sound back there? Good, good. All right. We have got a packed house for the last touchdown regular season meeting of the year, meeting number 14. What a year it's been. If you're a Touchdown Club member, if you've enjoyed this year, let's give it a big round of applause. It's been great. Woo! Always helps when the Hogs play better. There's a trickle-down effect, and we'll hear from Rex here shortly. But proud of the Hogs this weekend, even though they had a loss. And it's been a fun year. We've had some great speakers. Today's going to be fantastic. I know we've got a lot of coaches. We've got a lot of family members representing these fine young men up here. This is one of the most uplifting meetings of the year as we do the James Street Sportsmanship Award. And we have one of the great speakers and great men and great athletes and coaches to ever come out of the state of Arkansas, Ken Hatfield, and he's going to be outstanding today. My old coach. Remind everybody, our banquet is January 14th. That's where we do all these awards you see. That's the day we give them out. I may mention Kyle Duggar, who's playing with the Patriots, who won our Cliff Harris Award. He is going to be the star of the Patriots, and we saw him first here win the Cliff Harris Award for the top small college defensive player of the year. But all the other ones, the Dan Hampton Award, the Willie Rofe Award, McFadden, Paul Hill, Sully Award, Harlan Hill, all of them.
That's my Bass Award banner.
We're working on the Basil Award. We'll do that next year. We'll do that next year. All right, for the last prayer of the year, and a guy who does our prayer every week, let's give it up for Gary Underwood, everybody. Thank you, Gary.
That is the first time I've ever got applause for a prayer. That's awesome. That is awesome. I have a quick question for you guys. Anybody thankful for anything today? Yeah, absolutely. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all the good things that you have done for us and do for us every day, and hopefully the things that you do through us. Lord, we thank you for the food that was prepared for us and hope that it gives us strength. And we're going to trust you today to lead us in the right path every way that we go today. Lord, we just ask you to use us as we serve you. In your name we pray. Amen.
I did just hear a phone go off during the prayer, but it was a Razorback fight song, so God said it's okay. So you're lucky. You're lucky. I don't know where it came from over here. No mercy. No mercy. That's a good reminder to please mute your phones, if you will. And for those of you that are new here, if you want to let somebody know that even though they're not here, they can hear or see what's going on, they can go to our Facebook page, the Little Rock Touchdown Club Facebook page, or YouTube from our website, lrtouchdown.com, or they can listen to 103.7 The Buzz to hear Coach's speech today. But you'll be able to see these young men by going to those other avenues. Do want to thank our sponsors real quick. It's been a great year. 103.7 The Buzz. Thank you to Terry Mahan, Justin Acree, Wes Moore, and Arkansas Urology for sponsoring that broadcast. So neat to have the energy of our banquet being, or rather our meetings being broadcast live around the state each week. The Hatcher Agency, Twin City Limo. Greg, great to see you recovering from your hip replacement surgery. He's passed me already. I love the way Lane has fought all this year at Arkansas State. We're going to keep rooting him on for next year and appreciate it. That's right. Let's give him a round of applause. We love Lane and what he's trying to do at Arkansas State. We appreciate the Hatcher Agency, of course, and Twin City Limo. War Memorial Stadium, Rex, we're almost time for state playoffs and state championships, rather. And so don't forget to get out there. It's been 6 games. It's been around since 1948. It's still creating memories. And don't forget also later on in December, the JUCO National Championship. So let's get out there and support War Memorial Stadium. We appreciate their support here with the Touchdown Club. Arkansas Urology. Do want to thank Scott Davis and Christian Epp. The great doctors there and their staff, one of the top urology practices in America. 14 clinics around the state. They serve 120,000 patients. Thank you to Arkansas Urology. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, Todd Dennis, Stephen Reichard. We appreciate you guys always supporting us, Todd, and give those guys a chance to quote any insurance needs you have. Pulaski County Farm Bureau. Advantage Service Company, one of our new sponsors this year, Kevin Brooks and Mike McClellan. We appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for being a believer in the Touchdown Club. And don't forget, truly one call does it all. HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. They'll take real good care of you. Tell them you're a member of the Touchdown Club. Dairy Queen, the Lively family, Blake, Nelson, Jacob, Todd Denton as well. We appreciate them. You know, DQ's really big in Texas, but I feel a movement that's happening here, the movement happening here in Arkansas. They just opened their 12th location in Russellville, so we appreciate Dairy Queen and all they do. How about Simmons Bank Arena? Been shut down, shuttered for a while with all the COVID stuff. This past week, they do 28,000 people Friday and Saturday night for Morgan Wallen, and this Wednesday night, they have Harry Styles with 17,000 people. So 35,000 people in less than a week. Great to see the arena being used again and hopping at that kind of level. Michael Marion, Jenna DeGeorge, and Jeremy Flynn, we appreciate your support. Big Red Stores to my right over here. I want to thank David and Doug Hendricks, David Hendricks Jr., Landon Parker, Emily, and the whole gang. Just opened store number 46. We're proud to be a part of that on the Buzz. We appreciate you guys. You're always here and you're red. Can't miss you guys. Can't miss the Big Red machine right here, but thanks to Big Red Stores for what you guys do. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, I mentioned the Cliff Harris Award. Just around the corner, we could not have done it, Judy, without your support. And Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. I know you have a special guest, Leanne Burnett, who is the Public Finance Department at Stevens Inc. Where are you at? Great to have you here. And appreciate all you guys, Charlie, Judy, Kirby, everybody with Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. You guys have been a great support of the Touchdown Club this year. Crane Automotive, you guys are always here down front. We appreciate Larry Crane and all you guys supporting the Touchdown Club. Make sure and put them on the spot. They'll give you a good deal. 17 automotive dealerships, 3 RV dealerships, 1 power sports dealership, 1,000 Arkansans employed through Crane Automotive. We appreciate you guys. The Democrat Gazette, Wally Hall and Amanda Copley. We appreciate Wally. This is the year number 17, right? Wally's been with us since the start with the Democrat Gazette, and Amanda Copley's been great with our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. We appreciate them. And, of course, we couldn't be here without the amazing work of Simmons Bank. Today at the head table, Richard Johnson and Neil Day. And we appreciate you guys, believing in the Touchdown Club. Of course, George Mackers has forever. And everywhere I turn, you guys, I was in the press box in Tuscaloosa. And with bowl season, you have all these bowls that are going around, and saw the bowl director for the Liberty Bowl. I can't tell you how he went on and on about how great it was to have Simmons Bank involved with that stadium, and now the Simmons Bank Memorial Stadium over there in the Liberty Bowl. But anyway, great things that you guys are doing, and we couldn't have a better presenting sponsor in America than Simmons Bank. Let's give all of our sponsors a big round of applause, if you will. And for the last time, we thank the Little Rock Touchdown Club team, Brant Bailey, who's the best in the country. Brant, thank you for all you do each week. Appreciate you. Lauren Schlechte. Also, Matt Johnson, M&M Productions. What a year we've had this year with, oh my goodness, think of Eli Manning and Matt Jones. And last week, Andre Ware and Quinn Grovey and Terry Bradshaw. All the videos and pictures. Great job by Matt. Hall of Fame photographer Dwayne Duncan. Where's Dwayne? We appreciate you, Double D. Oh, there he is, right there. I think he left. This is the guy, fellas, that after the banquet's over, he's going to get you a picture with Coach Hatfield afterwards. But thank you for all you do, Dwayne. RJ Hawk, who's handling our social media and did our All Arkansas Prep honorees. We appreciate RJ. Meredith Scott Hell from CareLink, who's also doing social media. Thank you, Meredith. Charper Ward helping us out with our award websites. And for those of you who knew the Touchdown Club, I want you to see this group of people. We haven't mentioned them by name all year, since this is the last meeting. Please stand and hold your applause. Marilyn Miller, remain standing when I call your name. Marilyn Miller, Melissa Nelson, Elizabeth Cloxton, Wanda Pace, Sherry Hall, Jan Morgan, my mom, Carolyn Branch, Ron Skaggs, Lee Danner, and Louis Nally. Where are they at? Everybody say, that is the most amazing volunteer touchdown club in America. The most amazing volunteers. And the general of that team, let's give it up for our executive director back in the back, Debbie Wyman, everybody. She does a great job. We don't have an All Arkansas Preps Play of the Week because we're getting ready to be able to see these amazing young men behind us. We do have an abbreviated, very short weekend recap from Rex, and guy who works harder than anybody in doing these recaps on Sundays. Let's give it up for what he's done this year. Rex Nelson, everybody.
Thanks, David. Hard to believe it's already the last one of the season. And what a way to end our 2021 season. And I don't use this word lightly, but I mean this sincerely. A true Arkansas icon in Coach Ken Hatfield here today. I think that's just perfect. Coach, not to make you feel old, but you were my first Razorback hero. I was 5 years old. 5 years old in the fall of 1964, listening to Bob Shane do those Razorback games on the radio religiously. And as long as they play football on the hill, the punt return at Austin will live on as one of the great plays in the history of Arkansas football. Icon, player, coach, and citizen now. Thank you, Coach. And hey, isn't it nice to be here and be competitive again in the really big games? I mean, think about it. Alabama escapes, but that game had everything you could have asked for in a college football game. Now, just consider how far this program has come in the last few years. The Hogs had lost their previous 4 games to Alabama by a total of 156 points. Last year it was 52-3. We've tried to forget. So KJ Jefferson comes out. He throws for 348 yards and 3 touchdowns. Traylon Burks has 179 receiving yards and 2 scores. That, by the way, ranks him in the top 10 now on the UA single game list. He's number 9 with that performance. Unfortunately, Bryce Young, who I think is going to win the Heisman, passed for a school record 559 yards and 5 touchdowns. Previous best by an Alabama quarterback was way back in 1969. Scott Hunter had 484 yards against Auburn that year. The previous most allowed by Arkansas had been Dak Prescott, of all people, with 508 yards for Mississippi State in 2015. So Alabama has now won 15 in a row against Arkansas, but by golly, they knew they were in a fight. Now, to tell you how impressive taking them to the wire was, just consider some of these numbers. Alabama reaches 10 victories in a season for the 14th consecutive year. Nick Saban's last loss to Arkansas was actually when he was at LSU, the 2002 Miracle on Markham down the street here. Alabama now 70-17 against nationally ranked teams since 2008. Saban 266-66-1, 200 games above 500 in 26 seasons as head coach. and Alabama 61-2 in its past 63 games at Bryant-Denny. So that tells you what kind of effort it was to go there and do what Arkansas did on Saturday. And now it's time to finish it off against Missouri and have an 8-win regular season on Friday in Fayetteville. Meanwhile, Harding, we've been talking about them all year. They advanced in the NCAA Division II playoffs, 30-14 over Washburn out of Topeka, Kansas. The Bisons go to 11-1. It should be a heck of a game in Searcy on Saturday as 10-1 Northwest Missouri comes to town. In the first three quarters, the score, it was more dominating than the score makes it sound. First three quarters, Harding outgained Washburn 409-38. Final time of possession was 47-24 to 12-36. Harding had 29 first downs. Washburn had 7. Harding had 419 yards rushing. Washburn had -2. Bisons led 20-7 at the half, 27-7 after three quarters. Cole Chansey, I've been talking about him. Talk about a workhorse. 41 carries, 176 yards. Harding could go a long way in these playoffs this year. ASU falls to 2-9, 1-6 in conference, 28-20 loss in Atlanta to Georgia State. My son, David, who lives in Atlanta, went out there and rooted for the Red Wolves, so he went out to the game. ASU finished with 270 yards of total offense. Georgia State had more than that rushing, though, 283 yards and 4 touchdowns. Georgia State is now 6-5. They are 5-2 in conference. Red Wolves had a -3 rushing yards. UCA and UAPB both finished the season with losing records. UCA finishes 5-6, 24-3 loss at Tarleton State. Quarterback Braylon Smith was injured and missing in the game. The Bears played 3 different quarterbacks, but they had just 161 yards of offense. The 3 quarterbacks just 8 of 26 passing for 69 yards in that game. And UAPB finishes 2-9 with a 52-24 loss at Alabama A&M, who is now 7-3. Those are the 2 teams, by the way, that met in the SWAC title game following that abbreviated spring schedule, but unfortunately they went different directions once we started playing in the fall. Now quickly, back to the SEC. Friday's opponent, Missouri, beats Florida in overtime, and just like that, Dan Mullen is gone. There's another speaker for David next year. Tigers. Look for old Dan on the schedule here. He'll be sitting here eating his rubber chicken with us at this time next year. Tigers elected to go for 2 after scoring in overtime and made it work and win 24-23. Missouri comes into Fayetteville with a 6-5 record. They're 3-4 in conference. Florida drops to 5-6 and 2-6. South Carolina bowl eligible, a 21-17 win over a really fading Auburn team that led 14-0 early. Auburn has now lost 3 in a row and falls to 6-5 overall, 3-4 in conference. Gus Malzahn may not be looking so bad now there. 6-5, 3-4, South Carolina 6-5 and 3-5. A lot of other teams had easy games. A lot of non-conference games played last weekend. Georgia 11-0, 56-7 win over 4-6 Georgia Southern. Ole Miss goes to 9-2. A 31-17 win over 2-9 Vanderbilt. Matt Corral, 27 of 36 passing, 326 yards and 2 TDs. Texas A&M, 8-3, 52-3 win over 7-3 Prairie View from the SWAC. Mississippi State is 7-4, a 55-10 win over a 5-6 Tennessee State team. LSU 5-6 is Coach O, who will also be with us next fall, I suspect, plays out the string. We will have an interpreter, by the way, for that speech, so you'll be able to understand it. 5-6 LSU, a 27-14 win over 4-7 Louisiana Monroe, and Tennessee 6-5, 60-14 win over 5-6 South Alabama. So this week, games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday night, going to be a good Egg Bowl for a change. 2 winning records, Ole Miss at Mississippi State. And even when they're not winning, that game always has so many fights and people cussing at each other and unsportsmanlike conduct penalties that I like watching it. It's kind of like watching a car wreck when you go by. So I always watch. Friday, of course, Missouri at Arkansas, and then Saturday, it's kind of in-state rivalry day. Alabama at Auburn, Florida State at Florida, Georgia at Georgia Tech, Kentucky at Louisville, Texas A&M at LSU, Clemson at South Carolina, and Vanderbilt at Tennessee. Here in the state again, of course, a Friday game in Fayetteville, and then 2 Saturday games. Texas State is at ASU in Jonesboro, and in Searcy again, playoff football, Northwest Missouri at Harding. So games this week in Fayetteville, Jonesboro, and Searcy for the last time in 2021. Get out and see a college football game. Thanks for a great season. Everybody have a blessed Thanksgiving.
I know there's some special folks in the audience. I saw your brother Dick Hatfield. Saw him out there. I saw Freddie Marshall, Tommy May. Great to see you, Tommy. I think Coach Ken Turner was here, and I did want to acknowledge before we get started with the James Street Award, Bruce James, who's been so helpful in helping get this started years ago. Bruce with all the Texas players, and Robert Yates, who helped put this together. He helped compile all the votes with all the coaches and all that. So we appreciate that. So for those of you that don't know, if you look up there, there's the James Street Award banner. So how this came to be, I guess this is 7th or 8th year, is that I invited, through Bruce's help, James Street and Bob McKay, All-Americans on the Texas team that beat us in '69, the big shootout. Heartbreaking, and Razorback fans still hadn't gotten over it. They came here to speak. They were so touched by the hospitality that they said, David, we're not asking for any reimbursement for the flight. Don't give us any money. Here's a check for $500. We want to contribute to the club. And they really did a good job, Coach, of trying to bridge through sportsmanship that hurt that Razorback fans have had for so long in that '69. And we found ourselves, wow, it's hard to hate those guys because they're sort of just like us. They're good guys. And brought James Street back again, I think a second time. Now, I think they cut a check for $1,000. And then his last public appearance, James Street, was at the Clinton Library of the documentary of the '69 shootout. His last public appearance. Of course, he was the quarterback who would just found a way to win, never lost. And I remember he cried because he got teared up because the Arkansas fans gave him a standing ovation. He was the only Texas player to attend. And so it's been a thing, guys. It's sort of weird that we're honoring a sportsmanship award with a guy named James Street. But he would have loved this. He would have loved to be part of it. We had Texas players coming every year. But I did want to announce this will be the last year of the James Street Award. So you're the last class of the James Street Award. So we're not finished with the Sportsmanship Award. Just with Texas coming into the league, the SEC, it's a little bit more difficult to celebrate all things Texas and what Texas stands for. And we've talked to the Texas guys, Bruce had, and they said, you know what, because they used to come in, they're getting older, and they go, hey, listen, why don't you guys go a different direction? So you'll be a unique class of the last James Street Award finalists and winners. So we do want to say that. And the way this thing works is that RJ is going to introduce every finalist here. We're going to ask you to stand, and you can give a round of applause for every person up here because this is the best of the best. This is not what's measured on the field. This is what's measured in the heart and what's measured in the mind and character of young men. And so this is a special day. We do that banquet I talked about, but this is just as big as a banquet to me. And all the qualities that make these guys be up here means they'll be successful later in life. I know we got family here and coaches who we'll introduce in a second. But right now, RJ, will you please introduce our 2021 James Street Award finalists?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet your 2021 James Street Award finalists. Representing Baptist Prep and head coach Zach Welchman, Blake Brown. Representing Catholic and head coach John Fogelman, Anthony Stevens. Representing Central and head coach George Shelton, Devin Williams. Representing Little Rock Christian and head coach Eric Koyu, Titus Colquitt. Representing Episcopal Collegiate and head coach Michael Carter, Lance Bichoni Wilson. Representing Hall and head coach Jim Withrow, Darius Woodis. Representing Mills and head coach Cortez Lee, Boyce Mitchell. Representing Parkview and head coach Brad Bolding, Josh Johnson. Representing Pulaski Academy and head coach Anthony Lucas, Ben Smiley. Representing Joe T. Robinson and head coach Todd Escola, Anthony Freeman. Representing Little Rock Southwest and head coach Daryl Patton, Kevon Jones and Braylon Tyler. And representing Southwest Christian Academy and head coach Greg Ferguson, James Stewart. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2021 James Street Award finalist.
Thanks, guys. You may be seated. The biggest relief to all of them when I said you don't have to give a speech today. They were very relieved to hear that. I did want to let everybody know. Let's see here. So, every finalist received one of these very nice plaques, as you can see, and we hope you guys will display these proudly. And all finalists also received a check from $100. So, yeah, let's round of applause there. So, guys, you can either take your coach out to dinner for nominating you. You can take your family out to eat, or you can buy some new shoes or new clothes with that, whatever you want to do. I did want to say real quick, if you're a head coach or assistant here today, please stand and let's give all those coaches who've done such a great job with all these players a round of applause. Please stand, guys. Also, if you're a family member, doesn't matter what your relation is, if you're a family member here supporting a young man up here on stage, please stand up and let's give them a round of applause. So great to have you here. So the way we're going to do this is that every coach submitted information about these young men and why they should be the winner. I don't like that we have a winner, because all of them are winners and they're all so close, and the voting is just, you can almost pick any one of these to be a winner. But what I do, I never like to, and we started doing this, Rex, instead of having a young man stand up and let me read his story or read something about him, I decided that I would just take something from each honoree that the coach shared and read that. So you don't know who they are that I'm talking about, but it's indicative of this, reflective of one of the young men up here. So guys, when I read this, I'm not going to take long. When I read this, you'll hear probably something that identifies you. But I'm not going to say your name. And then at the end of this, I'll announce our winner. So the main thing, though, is that you're here. And that's what I'm most proud of. That to me, if you're here, it tells me you're a champion of life. And that's the most important thing, not just what we do on the football field. So without further ado, I'm going to take about 3 minutes and read some of these comments. Our first finalist, coach says, one of the most unselfish athletes I've ever coached, always cheering and supporting his teammates, whether they are upperclassmen or underclassmen. Starter or third string, he encourages them all. Doesn't matter if we're winning or not, always positive and plays as hard as he can no matter the score. Our next finalist has been a significant emotional supporter to all our efforts during the most difficult year in my coaching career. His leadership, faithfulness, and love for our team as we navigated through one challenge after another. Not one time did he demonstrate a negative or defeated spirit, no matter how difficult circumstances appeared to be. To say that he's just a football player, this is our next finalist, would be a major understatement. All-state wrestler, member of the jazz band, involved in student leadership, he's developed respect amongst our opponents as well. Several times during games, he not only encouraged our team, but also the competition. and that sportsmanship continued after the game. Very refreshing to coach a young man that generally cared about others before himself and played the game for the right reasons. This finalist has a GPO of 4.0. He's in Beta Club, National Honor Society, Boy Scout, volunteer and outreach program for his local church, lifeguard, and even holds classes for kids to learn to swim. He runs track, starting cornerback for the varsity, an avid piano player. This young man can do it all. Our next finalist comes to practice and games with a love of life and with a greater purpose, and that is to honor an older brother who was also a player that was shot and killed on Christmas Eve. And even after suffering a gunshot wound that went through the stomach and out the back, with doctors saying he might not make it, much less ever play football again, he did. The loss and tragedy that the family has endured is incredible, but there's always a smile every day and an angel necklace around the neck. Our next finalist has been a wonderful example of team first. In our program since middle school, never complains, always works hard, puts teams first, an outstanding player, but an even better young man. This finalist has proven that through hard work, goal setting, and teamwork, he can accomplish tasks in a courteous and timely manner without offending others. Has shown leadership when others would shy away. His patience, knowledge, and love for others will prepare him undoubtedly and help shape him for all his future endeavors of being an outstanding person in society. This finalist is a young man of higher character who sacrifices his time and energy to make those around him better. He has a 3.9 GPA, which demonstrates his dedication to his classwork and his commitment to excellence. I guarantee you that there's not another athlete that plays with more passion and heart. As a coach, I'm blessed to watch him play the game of football, but even more blessed by watching his character off the field. Our next finalist currently has a 4.48 grade point average. You know you had those, to be honest, when I was around. Don't even know what that means. His above-average performance is a direct result of his hard work and strong focus. He's intelligent, inquisitive, and yearns to gain more knowledge. He's shown the motivation, intelligence, and persevering nature to be successful at any university of his choice. This finalist has displayed outstanding resilience and perseverance this season. Even having 2 surgeries following the past 2 seasons, he's one of Arkansas's best defensive players. This year was extremely difficult for him as well because his father passed away during the middle of the season. It was a burdensome, heavy, emotional time as was to be expected. But his perseverance and contribution to our team during this difficult season has been phenomenal. He has been an inspiration to his teammates and coaching staff. This next finalist is a first-class young man who plays really hard and goes about his business without asking for anything. Very positive and encouraging to all his teammates from top to bottom, always smiling, and he works extremely hard. He's never been in trouble, and he's very laid back. He's definitely the type of kid that you want on your team. The coaches and I love having him around, and his demeanor spreads amongst our football team. And our last finalist has just about played every position this year. He's moved all over the football field, never complained about being moved around. He has filled every role to the best of his ability. He wants his team. He wants to help his team out no matter what. He is a spark plug, and the team feeds off his energy. He tries to help the younger guys on the team, trying to help them find a place. He left this team as a senior better than he found it. Our entire coaching staff voted for him to be a finalist today. How about those bios for these young men? Wow. Wow. So I know that these coaches, all of you believe that your players should win. And you know what? I agree. And I hate that we have to announce one, but we do. But I want to let all of you know that you're a winner by being here. By being a finalist, you're a winner. That's the bottom line. Yes. So without further ado, it is time to introduce the 2021 James Street Award winner. And for the first time ever, RJ didn't mention it, but our winner are 2 brothers. Representing Little Rock Southwest High School, brothers Kevon Jones and Braylon Tyler. Yeah, you know, I've been, you know, a lot of people will say, hey, love what you've done with the Broyles Award, love what you've done with the Touchdown Club and all these crazy things I do. And I'll never forget, I was having surgery, big surprise, about 3 years ago. And I remember one of the nurses had her mask on or something, and she goes, "Hey, you don't remember me, but I was at your touchdown club for the James Street Award. My son was being honored." And she said it was one of the greatest days of his life. And it was for her too. And she goes, "We've never forgot that because it meant the most to her." So all you parents that are involved in family with these young men, and all you coaches, man, it's the greatest thing in the world what you do. Thank you for being such an influence. And fellas, don't stop doing what you're doing, because what you're doing now is going to help you to be successful down the road, and we appreciate you being here. And you're getting ready to hear from one of the great coaches and players of all time. And I did, yeah, sure. Let's give them one more round of applause, if you will. I mentioned, Coach Hatfield. I was recruited by Lou Holtz, and I played at Arkansas for 3 years under Lou Holtz until Coach Hatfield came in. And boy, that third year, it was a tough team. It was I redshirted that year, and we were struggling. Coach Hatfield came in, and as you know, the rest of the story, ended up taking the program to 2 straight Cotton Bowls. But the greatest thing about Coach Hatfield was his character. And I mentioned it was the last James Street Award. And so, I was talking to some guys, and Bruce and Debbie and Rex, and I said, we need to have a new honoree, somebody who epitomizes sportsmanship in every way, someone of a great character, great integrity, someone who has excelled in life in a first-class way every step of the way. So I'm proud to announce today that starting next year, we're going to have the Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award. Coach Hatfield said you hadn't even heard me talk today. So, but the guys at Texas, Bruce had told the guys at Texas they loved the idea. They thought it would be great and thought James Street would love the idea. And Coach, I think nobody epitomizes more of all the things we're here about today than you. I did want to mention as we get ready to go to Steve Sullivan's intro. Sully's done a great job all year. Let's give a round of applause to Steve Sullivan for all our video intros. And you'll see at the beginning one of the greatest plays in the history. Siri, you need to pop down. You'll hear at the beginning, I know, you'll see at the beginning one of the greatest plays ever in the history of Arkansas Razorback football. Let's go to Sully's intro.
Ken Hatfield's 89-yard punt return against #1 Texas back in 1964 is still regarded as one of the greatest plays in Hog history. He was a first-team All-American on that national championship team. In over 3 years, he averaged over 16 yards a return. He started his brilliant head coaching career at Air Force in 1979. By 1983, the Falcons were a top 15 team nationally. Then it was off to Arkansas. Coach Hatfield compiled a record of 55-17 over 6 seasons. His winning percentage of 76% tops in the history of the program. His teams won back-to-back Southwest Conference titles, and on January 2nd, 1989, Kenny Hatfield became the first former player to coach his alma mater in the Cotton Bowl. From Arkansas, it was on to Clemson, where he won 32 games in 4 seasons, and Ken Hatfield ended his coaching career by leading the Rice Owls for 11 seasons. His underdog Owls were bowl eligible 3 times and won a share of a Southwest Conference championship in 1994. He is a one-of-a-kind Razorback, an All-American player, an outstanding coach, and perhaps most importantly, always the #1 supporter of all things Arkansas. Please welcome Mr. Razorback, Kenny Hatfield.
Thank you. I don't know where Sully is, but I want him at my funeral. Hey, this is a great moment to be here in Little Rock, to be at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. And I thank you so much because it gives me an opportunity to thank David Basil. in all my years and everything that people have done, I don't think anybody has been a greater ambassador for the game of football, for the state of Arkansas, the University of Arkansas, and all the values of everything, the hard work David Basil has done, and he deserves the credit. He is a great, I mean that, David. I mean that. And I mean that. And Carolyn, you done good, girl, having him. We're sure proud of you. Hey, I also want to know how much I appreciate being here with you and seeing you, with how much you enjoy each other coming to every week and enjoy the food and the fellowship and football and sports and all the values that it represents. And y'all have done a fantastic job. There's not a better quarterback club in all America than y'all. And I sure appreciate an opportunity being here just a few minutes anyway. Also, I was very fortunate to see several guys out there. But if you do me the honor, and all our former Arkansas players and coaching staff, would y'all stand up? Anybody? David? Bruce? Anybody? Dick, stand up. Freddie? Gary Adams. I'm just checking to see how many could still get up. You know, I had just a couple thoughts here coming, and I appreciate David just asking me to visit for a few minutes, because I really came today to thank these 12 honorees more than anything else, because they epitomize really what football has meant to me, has meant to you, has meant to everybody. And they are representative of the best things that football has to offer. And you guys did three things and took three things with you that we always tried to do wherever we were. The first thing and most important thing you have done, and one reason you're up here, is you always took time to be thankful to God. You took time to recognize your talents and abilities, and always were out in the opportunity to play in the game, realizing everybody doesn't have the opportunity to play football. Everybody doesn't have the opportunity, the values and the lessons you have been able to learn and pass on to people, and you've never forgotten where your roots come from for a gracious God to give you a chance. That's the first thing. Second thing, when I thought about you, you did the most important thing. And you learn when you play the game of football, there is only one way to play. And that says, I'll play my best this play. Because you see games that we've seen in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it doesn't matter where you go. There's only one or two plays in a game that make the difference in the outcome of the game. In all the close games. But when's it going to come? You never know. And so as each player, there's only one way to practice. And I'd ask guys at Arkansas or anywhere I ever coached, I said, is that the best you can do? And if they say yes, I'd never say a word. If they didn't, I'd be all over their butt. Because the whole essence of the sport itself is to play your best one play at a time in practice. If you do that, the play will happen automatically during a ball game. And you guys have learned that lesson. The third thing you've done, which is a great lesson that's part of you, you understand in anything you do, and especially in football, the team comes first. The team comes first. There is a power released from every team that's far greater than some of the abilities that other teams have. And that's something that'll stick with you. It's the same formula for success in football. It's the same formula of success in anything you do, in your marriage, in your job, in your walk with Jesus Christ. Put that team first, and great and powerful things will you do. And you all have done it. And that's why we honor all of you, no matter who gets the award. You're the ones that little kids in your neighborhood are looking up to today. And you're going to do a great job, and I honor you. We all honor you here and being here right now. You know, the one thing, too, when David talked to me the other day about the James Street Sportsmanship Award, the first thing I thought about is, we go back a long way. Texas and Arkansas got a connection like nothing else I've ever been around. since 1957, when Coach Broyles came to town and circled the state and got everybody to come together and continue to play and unite ourselves. The one thing we had to do, we always had to play Texas in anything we ever do. And Dick and I learned that early in life when we lived in England, Arkansas, and I was 5 and Dick was 6. And we were back on the back fence right there, and somehow he had somebody that suggested, man, we ought to have some fun. So we got a box of diamond matches and just started striking them. You know, they work. We burned the neighbor's chicken coop down, and we got run out of town in England, Arkansas. Then we moved to Fort Smith and everything, and I was 6 years old in the first grade, and Dick and I would come home for lunch, and we'd ride back to school on our bikes. And I said one day, Dick, you go back to school. I got this guy back from the war. He's going to teach me how to kill people with my bare hands. And that's a lot more interesting than something else in school. So sure enough, Dick goes back, and I go in this field, and I found this old guy, and he comes there. He said, Ken, when you're out in the man-to-man hand contact, you get down like this, and you take these 2 fingers, and you run them down the guy's collarbone, and you rip it out. Well, my fingers were about that big, little stubs right there. My eyes got so wide, I thought, man, I really learned something good. I can use this. Well, as soon as the teacher called Mother and I got home, she whipped my butt so bad. I never missed a class in elementary, junior high, college, grad school after that day. At the same time, though, when all that was going on, we moved from there to Texarkana. Anybody ever been in Texarkana? All right, so we're there in Texarkana. We lived on Glendale Avenue, only 2 blocks from state line. And boy, we learned in our town no less than 6 Nebraska players have a hand on Freddie. And none of them could get him down. He was determined to make the first down. And he makes the first down. We throw the ball then to Jim Lindsay in the flat. He goes 26 yards down the 5-yard line. We make 1 yard running. Freddie runs a belly option, pitches the ball to Bobby Burnett, who hurdles in the end zone and scores. There's 3 minutes to go in the game. Nebraska tries one last chance to get down there. They get to about the 40-yard line, and on 4th down and 10, Jim Williams from Far City, Arkansas, beats his man and tackles the quarterback, and we win the game. And with it, an undefeated season for the University of Arkansas. Well, that was good enough. That was good enough. That was good enough. But for the first time ever in the history of my life, when we get there at the motel we're staying, we opened up all the connecting doors, and believe it or not, we gather to root for the Texas Longhorns, of all people there. And I'm telling you, it is a game to behold, and Alabama is #1, has won the regular season undefeated team. And the game is 21-17. It comes down to 4th down, boys, 1 play on the 1-yard line. Joe Namath, their quarterback. I've been told, the film shows, that when the ball was snapped on the last play, that every Texas man knocked the Alabama lineman back. They did not go forward, not 1 inch. And Joe Namath takes the ball and tries to put it over the goal line, and Tommy Nobis hits him in dead middle and knocks him short. And Texas wins. And we go the only undefeated team in America on that 1 play. You think I wouldn't kiss all them Texas players at one time? I'd still be kissing them today if I could find him. There he is up there now. But it was one of the greatest moments I can ever remember. And it more than anything, I thought about the Arkansas fans and all the people that come to the ball games, that pray, that listen, that support the Fighting Razorbacks, and what that moment meant to them and still does to this day. We got ready when it was all over to finish up, and when we did, we were going to have our voting for the permanent captains. We always did that. We'd have game captains at the year's end. We were going to have our permanent captains. And I can still remember Freddie and Jerry and them, we all got together, there's 14 of us, and we said, we're going to do this. Whenever there is an undefeated team, all of the seniors will be the permanent captains. Each and every one of them, all of them. Started with Tom McNally from Little Rock, Arkansas. Gary Robinson, Little Rock, Arkansas. Bill Gray, Helena, Arkansas. Charles Daniel, Little Rock, Arkansas. Jimmy Johnson, Port Arthur, Texas. Jim Finch, Far City, Arkansas. Jerry Lamb, Houston, Texas. Jerry Welch, Little Rock, Arkansas. Jerry Jones, North Little Rock, Arkansas. And I got to go too, as part of that group. They had a bunch of us right there. And I want you to know, every one of us, Ronnie Cavanis and Ronnie Mack Smith were two of the best linebackers we ever had that played the game. And we are indebted to them for the tackles and everything they made to give us a chance to be where we are. I'll just say this, that I've never been prouder in my whole lifetime to have been part of the game of football because of the people that I've been able to associate with that have given everything they have for someone else to enable us to enjoy the moments we do today. I'll be forever indebted to each and every one of you. And I want to congratulate once again every one of you players and what you're going to do in life. God's got a plan for your life, and I promise you, you're going to do something special, and you're going to make a difference. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coach Hatfield. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here, everybody. We're going to have the athletes, the honorees, get their picture made with Coach Hatfield first. Family members, if you want to come up, take pictures. Coaches, you can too. And then members and sponsors.